Hey Team Orlando, Skipper Hill coming to you again today from Naval Support Activity, this time out in Warfighter Park just to show you that we're open for business. As you'll see, we decided to do something a little different here today, and Leslie Faircloth from our Small Business Office is here with me today. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning, Skipper.
Thanks for coming in today. We only have about 24 of us here on base today, and that's because those folks are working on classified programs or other sensitive things, or the contractors we have taken advantage of the fact that the building is pretty empty so we can get some construction done inside. So I know that the COVID time is a very challenging time for our small businesses with uncertainty, with potential cash flow problems and such. So I wanted to bring Leslie in today and talk a little bit specifically to our small business partners. So Leslie's going to do that for us today. So the first thing, Leslie, I wanted to ask is, as far as government policy, things that have changed either recently, not COVID related, or specific things for COVID, what's the federal government done to help our small business partners?
Okay, that's a great question. So the first thing that I'll cover is something that's non-COVID related, which is the DoD deviation that was issued, I think, within the last couple of weeks, that actually allows the 8A program, when we're contracting with the tribally owned 8A, we're now allowed to write contracts on a sole source basis without a J&A up to $100 million.
Wow.
That raised the threshold from 22 million to 100 million. So that may allow some flexibility or greater flexibility in some of the agencies and commands being able to respond to COVID needs and other needs that they may find themselves challenged with. So let's get into a little bit of the policies that have changed regarding COVID.
Great.
So the first thing that comes to mind is the memo that Secretary Gertz came out with, which was encouraging us to be supportive of our defense and industrial base, and encouraging the government to find creative ways to make sure that there's positive cash flow to our industry partners, both large and small. Next, I would say, and it's related to what Secretary Gertz put out, DoD came out with a class deviation that actually encouraged or increased the liquidation of progress payments rates up to 95% for small businesses and up to 90% for large businesses. So that was great. Additionally, the declaration of the national emergency by the president invoked the Stafford Act. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Stafford Act, that actually provides a lot of increased flexibility with contracting in times of need. So these flexibilities would only apply to procurements that are COVID related, but it does things like increases the simplified acquisition threshold from 250K to 750K, increases our micro purchase threshold from 20K to 30K, and it also provides the ability for state and local entities, including schools, to utilize GSA schedules.
So that was great as far as government policy and stuff, but in terms of cash flow and payroll and that kind of thing, what's the federal government done for our small business teammates there?
Right, so the federal government has already implemented a couple of things. So the Small Business Administration, or the SBA as we know them, they offer SBA disaster loans to small businesses. If you're interested in applying for this program or want to learn more about that program, I encourage the small businesses to go to sba.gov. There's information right there on the public-facing website of SBA, so you can find more information there. Please take advantage of this program. In addition, there is the Paycheck Protection Program that actually was born out of the CARES Act that was recently passed. Yeah. So the Paycheck Protection Program is available to small businesses and provides them loans so that they can keep their staff on and they can keep payroll running. And it's important to note that as long as the small business uses those funds from that loan to pay their staff and keep people employed, that those portions of the loans can be 100% forgivable.
Wow.
It's also important to note that participating in the small business disaster loan or the paycheck protection program, it doesn't negate you from a small business from being able to use both programs. You can be eligible for both.
All right, so we've got some good things that the federal government has done for us that we're relaying to our small business teammates in order to help them help us complete the mission. But what are we doing here locally with your office there, Leslie, to continue our outreach and engagement with our small business team?
Good question. So basically, I want everybody to know, especially our small business partners, that we're open for business. I am working with the contracting officers, the program staff, leadership, generally just keeping in touch with my typical IPTs to keep programs moving forward, to keep the mission moving forward. I'm definitely fully engaged, just like I would be if I was in the office,
right,
not sitting at home taking training, waiting for something to come my way. Also, I am working with Diana Teal and Sydney Fushi to connect our small businesses through our Tech Bridge director and working them through the Naval X channels to take advantage of any of their innovative ideas. I've increased my social media presence big time on LinkedIn, and I have been encouraging small businesses to reach me through that potential media. It's a little bit easier to use than being bombarded with emails.
Great. I want to actually dogpile on a couple of your comments there and just put out a couple of data points. So you mentioned we're open for business and things are moving along. The word I got from last week is we awarded $100 million of contracts last week. It continues this week. I know we just awarded the FY20 content conversion contract for Radio Relevant Learning this week. And as I continue to stay in contact with Diana and Sydney about the Tech Bridge, which will be named the Central Florida Tech Grove, formally. We had originally planned a joint opening of that along with the Synthetic Training Environments Cross-Functional Teams Technology Integration Facility, lots of acronyms there, next week. But that's obviously not going to happen because of COVID, but the paperwork and the agreements needed to make the Tech Bridge come to life with our partners at UCF is moving along, as I'm understanding, talking to Diana. So we continue to make a lot of progress there. And speaking of progress along those lines, I know that not just our small businesses, but all of our industry partners have asked a lot about the cyber maturity model, the CMMC implementation.
Yeah.
What do you have for us on that one?
Okay, great question, and that's a topic that I post regularly about on my LinkedIn account. So the latest that I've seen that came straight from Katie Arrington, who is the special assignee from Secretary Gertz, is that they're moving forward. Don't anticipate that there's going to be slowdowns in the rollout of the CMMC because of COVID. They're working with their accreditation body right now to establish standardized criteria in order to train the industry workforce and train the accreditors. So I don't see any milestones moving to the right on CMMC at this point. So industry needs to be ready because it's coming. Great.
No, that's great to know, and I'm sure it's a great update that industry's appreciative of, and certainly I've seen a lot of your posts on CMMC on LinkedIn, and I've tried to share those to broadcast that out a little further as well. So, you know, no kidding, hopefully for our industry partners, this has been an informative day. Thanks for coming in and joining me, weathering through the chilly air out here in Warfighter Park. That's very unexpected this morning. But no kidding, for our industry teammates across Team Orlando, NAWCTSD and NSA Orlando remain open for business. The transition to a distributed workforce has seemed to go pretty well for our team. Most of the feedback we're getting is that the things that the Navy has done to make telework more palatable and productive for our workforce are working well. If our industry partners have any feedback on that, please send it by whatever means you can to whichever POC you desire. And the same thing applies for our team out there in the field. Obviously the base still stands, it's empty without you, and we're waiting to bring it back to life when COVID will let us do that. But in the meantime, keep pressing forward to our mission because the Navy and our warfighters need us. Thanks.